a strange creature seen by multiple witnesses, military trucks flooding a quiet Brazilian town, and rumours that something was taken away in secret. This isn't ancient history, it's 1996, and nearly 30 years later, people are still asking the same question. What happened in Varginha, Brazil? My friends, you're going to like this one. In January of 1996, the city of Varginha, Brazil, became the centre of one of the most controversial UFO incidents in modern history. What began as scattered reports of strange sightings quickly escalated into claims involving military convoys, unexplained creatures, hospitalised witnesses, and allegations of a government cover-up. And this is where things start to get even more strange. Because unlike many UFO stories, the Varginha case didn't rely on a single witness. It involved dozens of people, many of whom described remarkably similar events. The incident reportedly began on January 13th, during a violent storm outside the city. A local ultralight pilot and geography teacher named Carlos de Sousa claimed he saw a large, cigar-shaped object struggling through the sky, trailing smoke as it descended toward the ground. At first, he believed it might be an aircraft in distress, but as he got closer, he realised the object didn't resemble a conventional plane. According to de Sousa, the craft appeared damaged and unstable before disappearing near a rural area outside town. And this is where things go from simply a sighting to an actual incident. De Sousa later claimed he drove toward the area where the object appeared to crash. There, he reported encountering a strong smell resembling ammonia or rotten eggs. He also claimed to have found strange metallic debris scattered near the site. According to his account, one fragment looked similar to aluminum, but behaved in a way he couldn't explain. He said the material could be crumpled in his hand, but immediately returned to its original shape. Before long, military vehicles reportedly arrived at the scene. According to de Sousa, armed personnel ordered him to leave immediately. He later claimed he was threatened and warned not to speak publicly about what he had seen. And while stories involving secrecy and intimidation are common in UFO cases, this is where the facts of the Varginha incident become more difficult to dismiss. Because reports of unusual activity were not localised in one area, the reports were spreading across the city. About a week later, 3 young women were walking home through a vacant lot when they saw something crouched near a wall. At first glance, they thought it might be an injured person or animal, but as they got closer, they realised something about it seemed deeply wrong. The being was described as short, with oily brown skin, large red eyes, and 3 protrusions on its head. One witness later said the creature appeared frightened, as if it were hiding from something. And this is where the mystery deepens. The witnesses were visibly shaken after the encounter. One reportedly told her mother, "I've seen the devil." Another said the creature seemed to communicate emotion through its eyes, not aggression, but fear and suffering. And despite years of skepticism and ridicule, the witnesses have largely maintained the same description for decades. But they weren't the only ones reporting strange events. Around the same time, residents began noticing an unusual military presence throughout Varginha. Witnesses described trucks moving through the city, emergency vehicles responding to unknown locations, and rumours spreading that something had been captured. Some reports claimed military personnel had recovered not one, but 2 strange beings. And then came one of the most disturbing parts of the story. According to multiple accounts, a military police officer named Marco Cerese came into physical contact with one of the alleged creatures during its capture. Not long afterward, he became severely ill with a rapidly worsening infection and later died. Officially, his death was attributed to medical complications, but over time speculation began to grow that his illness may have been connected to the brief encounter itself. It's here that the fractured pieces of the story start painting a picture. Because the Varginha case doesn't revolve around one event, it revolves around layers of overlapping claims. A reported crash, strange beings, military retrievals, a police officer's death, and witness intimidation. None of these elements alone prove anything extraordinary occurred, but taken together, they create a narrative that many people have struggled to fully explain away. In the years that followed, investigators and journalists began collecting testimony from witnesses connected to the case. Some claimed the alleged beings were transported to a hospital before later being moved to a military facility. Others alleged that American personnel became involved shortly afterward, leading to rumours that materials, or even bodies, were removed from Brazil entirely. No definitive evidence has ever confirmed these claims, and for many, this is where the credibility of the case comes into question. Because despite the number of witnesses, there are still no publicly available photographs, no verified videos, no physical evidence, and no official documents proving extraterrestrial involvement. Skeptics argue that the entire incident can be explained through rumour, panic, and misidentification. One explanation suggested the three women may have mistaken a local man with physical disabilities for something non-human. But that explanation doesn't satisfy everyone. The witnesses rejected it completely, insisting what they saw was unlike any person or animal they had ever encountered. And when eyewitnesses remain consistent for decades, even under ridicule, it raises an interesting question. What exactly did they see? And why would otherwise average people stick to such an incredible story after years of mockery and being called into question? This is where the Varginha Incident separates itself from many other UFO stories, because even critics of the case admit something unusual happened in the city that week. There were government representatives on site, there was US military activity in the area that day, there were operations that dozens of people witnessed. The question is whether those events were even related to this incident, or possibly misunderstood in some way, or whether they point to something genuinely unexplained. In recent years, interest in the case has grown again. Researchers, journalists, and even members of Congress have revisited the incident while pushing for greater transparency surrounding unidentified aerial phenomena. Testimonies have been given, witnesses have related the events, not just to their peers and the media, but to high-ranking government officials. Some investigators claim additional witnesses and evidence still exist, but remain hidden due to fear, pressure, or government secrecy. Others argue that after nearly 30 years, the lack of hard evidence speaks for itself. But this is where the mystery finds its legs. The Varginha incident exists in an awkward space between testimony and proof. There are too many facts and too many witnesses to dismiss them entirely. But there is also too little verifiable evidence to reach a definitive conclusion. So what happened in Varginha in 1996? A misunderstood series of events fueled by panic and rumour, a military operation surrounding something classified, or evidence of an encounter that authorities never intended the public to know about. Whatever the answer may be, the story refuses to disappear. And if even part of the Varginha case is true, then it wouldn't be the only time something unexplained has been detected, because sometimes it's not the incident you can see, it's the one you hear.